Hello, welcome back to the Evergreen RX. I'm your host, Hayden, licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party. Well, how's everybody doing it out there? We're into 2026. Unbelievable. And if you're listening from the future, what year is it now? Comment down below. What if somebody's listening and it's like 2040? Oh, I remember in 2026 when we had trees. I don't know. All right, Hayden, it's dark. Don't have to go there. Not already. We're just getting started in January. Let's just slow our way in. But yeah, the 20s are crazy. But this is how they felt in the roaring 20s. Just crazy. What's going to happen next? Who knows? So out of breath. I don't know why. I'm just out of breath. I think it's allergies and it just gets me winded. Because I'm really just sitting here and talking, but I feel like I need to take a deep breath. So yeah, I would love to know, now that we've had some time, for any of you that are a little bit like, you like to get into the vibe of the new year before setting resolutions or intentions or picking your word for the year, your collage that you make, whatever, however you like to display your intentions for the new year. Maybe you don't do that. My guess is most of the people that listen to this podcast, are people that also like to do things like that, make vision boards and pick words of the year. If you're not, all good, you're still welcome. But if you are, comment down below or find me over on Instagram. Send me a photo of your collage. Tell me what you're hoping to call in for this year, what you're hoping to leave behind. I would love to know. I think the collective energy we all have at a new beginning is really exciting and can be super powerful to capitalize on and to use to fuel you and get you closer to your goals, or just to even make it feel possible to dream, to set new goals, and to, imagine what your life could be at the end of this year. So I'm definitely feeling a lot of that energy as well. I cleaned my entire house, organized everything, cleaned it. I tend to do that every new year, and sometimes during the summer too. I just love the feeling of a freshly cleaned house. I'm like looking around my office right now where I record, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the bookshelf got reorganized. I just touched everything in this room. So all the dust is just, it's gotten kicked up and cleaned out, and it feels like my house has lost weight and just really, or gone in the sauna and sweat it all out. And it's a fresh start, and I just really enjoy that because I'm a big homebody too. So I like my house to feel really welcoming and cozy. If you have any traditions or things that you like to do at the beginning of the year, I know cleaning is a big one. But there's probably tons of other things out there that maybe you feel called to at the start of a fresh year. And so again, comment down below, let me know. Let's just engage. Let's get the conversation flowing on this lovely midway point through January. So along these lines, I have a beautiful question today that I will use as the catalyst to talk about trying to find the balance between being a ever-changing, growing human being who feels called to different things at different times and likes to be flexible and go with the flow, while also maintaining some structure, semblance of, routine to help orient you, ground you to each day, and to feel like things are, settled and orderly. Finding a balance between that. And so I'm going to dive into the question first, and then I have a secret little disclaimer I want to let you guys in on. But we'll start with the question. Okay, so let's open up the shop. says, Dear Evergreen, at the start of every new year, I feel a desire to restructure my life. I want to get back on healthy habits and lock in, but this year I'm struggling a bit more with that. One of the best things about last year was how much flexibility I allowed myself. I feel like I actually started to listen to myself and go with the natural rhythms of my body and interests. I don't want to override myself just to achieve a level of consistency or routine I feel like I had before, but I also know that those habits are good for me and help prevent burnout. How can I find a balance between going with the flow and maintaining structure? So let's be honest. Let's get real honest. I wrote this question because this is just right at the heart of what I'm thinking through and dealing with at this point in my life. And I really like this podcast to feel relevant. And the easiest way I can try to make it relevant for you guys is to think, what am I pondering on? What am I working on in my own life right now? What is top of mind for me? So that, one, it's not stale because it's alive for me, it's real, but also because I think there's a collective nature to these things. So if I'm thinking about something, if I'm really kind of stuck someplace, most likely I think other people out there, you guys might be too. So I just thought, let me write into my own question, because this is going to be like a live processing. I have some thoughts I kind of got to process ahead of time because I plan for these episodes. But really it is a very in process kind of discussion. Because I've had a bit of an identity crisis lately, like low key though, really low key identity crisis, but a bit, because like I'm the girl that loves routine. And I have all but thrown out my routines in the past 6 months, which is wild for me. And it's caused a lot of questions of oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's happening to me? Am I just slipping? Am I losing a part of myself, or am I losing my willpower, my ability to self-motivate, to keep up with these things? Am I getting too soft on myself? These are a lot of questions that come up. And this is where my little secret, sneaky little, let's get coming close, huddle up. Because I think that this episode, if you found it, it's meant for you. Something in the title or the description resonated, it's meant for you. Because I don't think everybody needs the advice that I'm going to share today. I don't think everybody feels the same way that I feel, or that you might feel, about routine and flexibility. I believe there are people that need more structure in their life. And it's hard and it's uncomfortable and it can take a lot of energy to maintain a healthy routine, but that is part of their kind of road to hoe, their path. And then I do think there are those of us that need to learn how to scale back and allow for more flow and ease, and oh, you don't want to do this today? Don't do it. Oh, you want to ignore the to-do list for an afternoon? Ignore it. I think there are those of us that really need that. And I'll circle back at the end with something that my therapist shared with me on this topic, because she's helping me work through it currently. That I think speaks to that, because I get caught up on this idea of but people need structure. We have to just be able to discipline ourselves. So shouldn't I just be disciplined as I am? Why am I trying to relax on that? But I actually think there's more nuance to it. People are so different. What we need is really variable. And so if you're here and you're nodding along, something drew you into this episode, then I think this really is for you, and we can figure it out together. And if it doesn't resonate, you might be in a different camp. So let's rewind a bit. How did I used to be? So for the last couple of years, every morning on a work day, but also usually on the weekends as well, I'd wake up in the morning, do yoga, do a meditation for 20 minutes, pull some tarot cards, get ready, eat my breakfast. Yes, it was a bowl of yogurt every morning, and read my book, or a book, whatever. And I would do that and then start the rest of my day. Then I could start the rest of my day. Okay, check that stuff off. I worked out, I meditated, I got some quiet time, I had my breakfast, I'm all ready, I'm dressed, makeup on, whatever. Now I can start my day. Great routine, like lovely. It sounds lovely, right? It was lovely. However, at a certain point, I don't know, maybe through the midway of the year, I don't exactly know why, really started to feel very stifling. I felt very hemmed in by this routine. And sure, I tried other things. Well, what if I do, this workout instead of yoga? And I'd done some of that in the past, or I mixed up my breakfast. Some days, maybe breath work instead of meditation, whatever. I would try different things, but essentially keeping the same kind of idea or structure. And it just wasn't working. I didn't want to do it. What this routine, to be consistent with it, required of me was to kind of ignore other signs from my body. I'm the most focused in the morning, and sometimes I just wanted to wake up and jump right into work and just knock things out. Or some days I wanted to sleep in a little bit longer and have a nice breakfast with my partner. And that meant I wasn't going to have time for my meditation and my yoga. And I just was feeling called to listen more to those signals and signs that were like, I think this would sound more fun, better, more enjoyable. And now, if you know me, or you've listened to any amount of this podcast, I like to be very conscientious, very diligent, stick to the things I say I'm going to do, loyal. And so this was a big thing for me to start to shirk my routine a little bit more. But I knew I had to because I was feeling so chained. Chained to this routine, chained to my habits, chained to my, expectation for my day. I also need to practice the piano every day. And I also want to, make sure to call friends and, have some kind of connection and whatever. All good things, wonderful things. But when I started to feel chained to it, it's like, well, it doesn't matter if what I'm doing is wonderful. It doesn't feel good. And so that's not working. So when I come to this question, my own question, of balancing going with the flow and maintaining structure, what kind of occurred to me in preparing was, I think that question comes a bit out of a fear-based place. How can I have both? I want to listen to myself and I want to go with the flow, but not too much. Let's not get too crazy, because I still need to make sure I'm doing the things I should be doing. And I do think for me, and this is why I said, get in the huddle. This doesn't apply to everybody, but if you're in the huddle with me, if you're honest with yourself, that some of that clinging to routine, to structure, is out of a place of fear and need for control, to feel like you have a grasp on things. Well, I should go to the gym 3 times a week. That's going to be my resolution. I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, and I'm going to do yoga 2 other days. I'm going to go on 1 run a week, and then I'm going to make sure that I cook dinner at home this many times, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to cook dinner at home, whatever. For some people, it's wonderful. They need guardrails. For us, now I should do that. I have to do that. And I said Tuesday, so I got to do it today. I can't, I got this last minute plan. I can't do that because it's going to mess everything else up. I need to go to bed at 10 o'clock every night, so I can't do that. There's a lot of control. And is control or some sense of security and stability a bad thing? Not at all. This question of I want both, I want to balance both. I'm calling myself out a bit on that question, because I actually think, I feel happier and enjoy each day so much more when I allow for more flexibility. Since I've been doing that the last 6 months, days don't feel so burdensome, so much responsibility. And I've gotten more in sync with my cycle, my menstrual cycle, with my just natural human cycles. And I've had the really cool and very comforting opportunity to experience feeling the natural spurt of energy and drive I get at sometimes, the ideas that are flowing. I just want to work on projects. I want to put all my energy into them. And then the natural ebb of that. And then the return. That at some point, that energy, that drive, it comes back. And I can pick up where I left off. And before, everything I was doing is like, let's fight that flow. Let's fight that wave. Because I want to be driven all the time. I want to be working on these projects all of the time. And so I just need to make that happen. And I would be so freaked out. Like, oh, I get this natural spurt of inspiration. How amazing. This is the new me. I can just ride this forever. And then when it would ebb, it's so scary. It's like, oh my God, it's never going to come back. Or like, now I have to push so hard to be in that same headspace. And obviously, this is a good moment to address, what I'm guessing some of you are thinking, which is like, but we have to show up for life, doesn't matter where I'm at. I have to show up for my job or for my family or whatever. And that's true. Same way I post these podcast episodes every week. But there's a difference between just the normal maintenance and kind of a level above that, a step above that, optimizing, really being in the headspace for something. I'm not going to push anymore to create a bunch of ideas for this podcast in the second week of January because that's when I said I would. I'm actually going to just wait and trust that energy will come. Maybe later into January, maybe in February, that energy will come of new ideas. I really want to put my head down and do a lot of formulating and iterating for the podcast. And I'll do it then. All the while, I'm maintaining, the bare minimum. I'm maintaining the work I got to get done on a weekly basis to post these episodes for sure. But, hopefully that's illustrating the picture a little bit more. It's kind of like with our cycle for women where when you're ovulating, it's like, yeah, I'll go for a run. And maybe it's going to be a longer run than I normally go for. I'm going to go for 5 miles when normally the rest of the month I'm doing 2 to 3 and that feels okay. Or, during the week of my period, I'm not running at all. I'm running 1 mile or something. Noticing that, sure, you're still maybe running throughout the whole month, but the intensity, the length, how much it feels like it fits with your body and what you're needing at that time does fluctuate if you really listen. We can't expect ourselves to wake up every day feeling the same way. And when we really do pay attention, it wildly fluctuates. So I think really if I could rephrase my own question, at the heart of this question, it's not so much how do I balance the proper amount of structure with, an appropriate amount of flexibility, of spontaneity. I don't want to get too crazy. I think the question would be, how can I be okay with spontaneity and structure and the constantly evolving and fluctuating relationship between the two and between me? And trusting natural rhythms, trusting yourself to say, you know what? I'm just in a hermit mode. I don't want to see a lot of people, not feeling super social for a week or 2 weeks. Oh God, it's getting a little long. Trusting that if I'm taking care of myself and barring any extenuating circumstances, that social drive, it will come back. Next week, I'll be making plans. And if not, if it's a little longer, that's okay too. Being okay with things flowing, being okay with spontaneity, being the best. During the summer, I feel like that spontaneous energy comes out. Why not? Let's go swim after work. Come on. I'll throw my bathing suit in my work bag. Let's go. Versus, maybe a time like January in the winter, things are colder, things are slower, where I come back into some of that yearning for structure and the desire to have those really intentional mornings, to work in more movement in a structured way because I'm not, going outside and getting it as naturally during this season. This is a lot of where the heart, I think, of this podcast came from for me. And it's something I've learned about so much over the years of doing this and just living my life is like, I've been so called to following seasonal rhythms, my, natural menstrual cycle, like just really leaning into that because I think nature and the seasons and whatever are such a beautiful representation of what I'm talking about with these different energies and summer versus winter and what that asks for and calls in you. And we have our own little summer and winter microcycles within ourselves or within a day. And knowing that just because, you're outside all of the time in the summer doesn't mean there won't come a time where you want to be more inside and more inward. And that doesn't mean you won't then come back to that outward energy. It's all cyclical. It comes back around. And I think a lot of this work is about trusting ourselves, trusting that you have both at your disposal. You have the tools of spontaneity and flow and the tool of structure, knowing how to implement that for yourself, knowing how to adhere to it. That's an amazing skill. And you have both accessible to you. So confronting my fearful thoughts about like losing myself just because I'm changing or I don't feel as fulfilled by something that used to fulfill me. And what I said earlier, what my therapist told me, she said there's different people need different medicine at different times. So different people that aren't like us, that need to learn more of that structure and how to have that tool in their life. So that's a different medicine. You might be looking around at everybody, especially during this time, that are setting all these strict goals and, adding more into their life and thinking, oh God, I'm doing the opposite. And like, that seems wrong, seems to go against the grain, go against what other people are saying is important. But trusting yourself that that's not your medicine. And different times, that one really trips me up. I really don't like that. Which can be maybe right now at this stage, I'm 26 years old. It's time to be spontaneous and to just live and let myself be and enjoy, the minimal responsibilities that I have. And maybe 2 years from now, I'll want to circle back and be a little bit more diligent and regimented, like how I used to be 2 years ago. Different medicine at different times. And so my last little piece of advice or, guidance for you would be to take the leap and allow for equilibrium to emerge. For me, that meant yoga and meditation felt really nice this morning in a way that it hasn't for the last couple of months. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe not. We'll see. Because I'm trusting the equilibrium that my system is naturally geared towards and wired towards. And seeing like if I really take the leap, sometimes it takes a while. Your system's got to level out. Maybe you've been pushing it really hard. And so you need a while of just resting and taking a lot of responsibility off, just chilling as much as you can. And then it will level out and you will feel called to action again at some point that feels appropriate. Okay, this felt good. This felt cathartic to me. I hope this felt helpful to you. Please let me know if it did. Ask me follow-up questions at theevergreenrx@gmail.com or call me at 512-655-9888. Give me a text too. Shoot me a text. I'd love to hear from you. And I'd love to see you at the Evergreen RX over on Instagram and TikTok. And with all that said, I will catch you here next Wednesday with another episode. All right, you take care. Take it easy. Listen to yourself. And I'll catch you guys later.